Today we'll be traveling on board of a Frecciarossa train in Italy on the route from Trieste via Venice and Verona to Milan. Today we'll be traveling on board of a ETR 700 series Frecciarossa train, and these trains do have a very interesting history. These trains have originally been built for the high-speed line in the Netherlands and Belgium, and nowadays you will find them in Italy. How come, and what's the story behind this? And how it is like to ride on these trains nowadays in Italy. Join me on board of this Frecciarossa service, a train with a story, and especially for my Dutch viewers. I traveled on one of these trains before, maybe it's this one, I don't know, when they were in service in the Netherlands. I'll tell you more about that in this video. For now, let's get this video on the track and let's roll the intro. And even though I started this railway journey in Milan, in this video I'll be featuring the railway station of Trieste Centrale, the railway station where I ended my journey. Simply because Milano is beautiful, but I already featured it 2 times. And, well, it takes way too much time if I do this again, because it's a big station. So let's start off with Trieste. Right next to the railway station you find a bus station. And this is not only for regional buses and city buses, but also quite some long distance buses, and this includes international buses. Although international buses can easily be regional buses over here as well, because Trieste is located right next to the border with Slovenia. Also buses to Croatia can be found from here, and this is still considered as regional. Right at the front of the railway station I noticed this bike sharing program, and the railway station itself is not too far away from the city center either. For now let's head into the railway station, and I won't spend too much time on this. At the moment I was here there were some construction works going on, as you can see. It's really a pity because the railway station is actually really beautiful. It has originally been opened in 1857. Right at the main concourse you find the ticket counters, as you can see over here, where you can obviously buy train tickets. If you're traveling with a Frecciarossa train within Italy, it's better to buy these tickets in advance. First of all, there won't be sold more tickets as there are seats available, and apart from that, tickets are based on the demand as well. So in general, the earlier you book your tickets, the cheaper it is. Apart from that, you find many vending machines where you can buy train tickets as well, and there are plenty of screens with information about departing trains in this railway station. Personally, I like to buy train tickets in Italy on the Trainline website. It's trainline.eu. Here you find all railway companies, and, well, I think it all speaks for itself. There's a small chapel in this railway station, as you can see over here. I haven't seen many railway stations with a church or a chapel in it. The other part of the railway station is much more modern and is not as pretty as the old monumental railway station building, but it's quite functional. Over here you find most shops, for example supermarkets, some bars, some restaurants, well, general shops. There's even a shop where you can buy wedding dresses. Well, this is much more functional and not as pretty as the rest of the railway station, at least not as pretty as the front. Directions have been marked crystal clear over here. This is all in Italian and also in English, and quite a lot of announcements are in both languages as well. At the moment you're getting closer to the tracks, you will find screens that will host information about departing trains as well. And because Trieste is really located in the northeast of Italy, this is also a terminal station. From here on you find trains into Italy, but also to Slovenia and even Austria via Slovenia. Although there are some trains that will just have this as a stop along the way, but in that situation they still need to change directions. Some tracks are a little bit hidden at the back of the railway station, so please take your time before you go to your trains. Actually the train I took from here was a little bit hidden and I had to walk a little bit more to the train. So just make sure you're there on time. At the platforms themselves you won't find that much facilities, I have to say. Well, I think you have a good impression of this railway station, so let's move to Milan at the moment that I took this train. Way too early in the morning. Well, I planned quite a lot of trips at that weekend I recorded this. Milan is a beautiful railway station. Actually, I have to say the same thing counts for Trieste, but it's just way smaller. Platform numbers do pop up in general pretty last minute in Italy, so just look at the departure screens to see the departure platform for your train. And here is our train for today. This is a Frecciarossa class ETR 700 train. First, let's take a close look at the exterior of these trains. These trains do come in 3 different classes: business class, premium and standard class. At the outside of the train it has been clearly marked what class can be found where if you enter these doors, like you can see here on the doors. And right next to the door you find a digital screen, and this screen will host the route information, the train number, final destination and some stops along the way. Also, the carriage numbers can be found right at the door, and also quite important, especially to avoid some congestion within the trains. It has also been clearly marked what seat numbers can be found if you go through those doors. Sometimes it might be better to take the door of the carriage right next to your own carriage. Basic icons that will host the facilities will be displayed as well. However, these trains do always come including a seat reservation, so therefore it's not really necessary to mention what facilities can be found where on both of these trains at the outside. These trains do have a capacity of 497 passengers and a top speed of 250 km per hour. Originally, these trains have been built for the Netherlands as the NS V250 for their Fyra services on the high-speed line in the Netherlands and to Belgium. Nowadays, these services are called Intercity Direct. These trains were delivered after a significant delay in the Netherlands and started full commercial service on the 9th of December in 2012, but only stopped 39 days later on the 17th of January 2013. After the Belgian Railway Inspection Agency suspended these trains for operating license because of safety and structural problems with the construction and maintenance of these trains. All trains were removed from services and sent back to Ansaldo Breda into Italy, so back to the manufacturer. In August 2017, the state-owned railway company of Italy, Trenitalia, bought all 19 train sets of these trains, and they modified these trains big time, so they're safe to hit the railroads again. And they also made a Dynacar and lots of other adjustments. From 2019 on, these trains started operating on the high-speed railroad network here in Italy. At first, these trains were being used for the Frecciarossa services. However, since May 2022, Trenitalia announced that the Frecciarossa services will now become Frecciarossa services. And basically the lowest category for the high-speed trains in Italy, or the Frecciabianca trains, these trains will now become Frecciargento trains. So the name of Frecciargento will still remain, but not on these trains anymore. Basically, the Freccia trains are the high-speed trains of the state-owned railway company within Italy. You also find commercial operators, like for example Italo, you can see here on the right. For now, let's take a close look at the interior of these trains. But before we do that, quick interruption of this video. If you like this video or if it's a helpful video to you, please give me a thumbs up, I really appreciate that. And if you have any questions or even if you just want to say hello, feel free to leave a comment. And at last, if you'd like to see more trip reports about more sustainable ways of transportation, the main focus for this channel is cross-bordering and or long-distance traffic, then hit that subscribe button if you haven't done this already. For now, let's continue with this video on this train. These trains do consist of 8 carriages, and they do have a capacity of 546 passengers in total, both in first and second class, obviously. The top speed is 250 km per hour, although during our ride we'll only have this top speed on a small section of the journey. Second class or standard class comes in a 2x2 layout, so 2 seats on both sides of the aisle. These are long distance trains, therefore you find quite a lot of space for luggage. You have dedicated luggage racks throughout the train, but obviously you also have the overhead luggage racks all over the train. There's a combination of bay seats and seats that do come in an airline style long distance bus seat composition. For those seats there's a sturdy fold-out table in the seat in front of you and a small garbage can at the side. Power sockets are located right below the seats, between the seats. All windows do have a sunscreen on board of these trains, and a coat hanger can be found right next to the windows. Tickets for these trains do automatically come including a seat reservation. Therefore the seat numbers can be found right at the luggage racks. At some spots in the train I also noticed some maps of the carriages. Obviously there's a lot of space for luggage at the vestibules as well, and at the moment you walk through the train there's also been clearly marked in what direction what facilities and what carriages are. Also the specific carriage number you're in will be mentioned very clear. Screens at the ceiling of these trains in the open compartments do host the route information. This is all very clear and is not only in Italian but also in English. There's one carriage that's slightly different. This here is the standard second class, or at least at the doors it's mentioned as standard class, what is a pretty good product if you ask me. But there's another class that's a little bit between first and second class. If you're entering these trains at the doors, it has been mentioned as premium class. And that's the class you can see right here. This is, well, second class plus, I will consider it like that. The seats are a bit more comfortable and you have slightly more legroom. Premium also includes more luggage space, obviously. There's a lunch and welcome service and free newspapers. Like everywhere in the train, you also find sunscreens at the side near the windows. Between the standard and premium class and the business class, or I should say between second and first class, you will find the dining car on board of this train. The dining car is not that impressive, to be honest. It's basically a bar, there are no places where you can have a sit over here, and there's also a trolley service on board of this train. When you're traveling in business class like what I did, some snacks and meals are included as well, I'll show you in a bit. For now, let's move on to the toilets on board of this train. I guess this is most related with the dining car, so makes sense to do this now. And this is how the regular toilets are on board of this train. They're not that spacious, but they're okay-ish. Within business class, there's a bigger accessible toilet, and this toilet can also be used as a diaper changing facility if you're traveling with a little baby. This is pretty common along accessible toilets within European trains. Obviously, these toilets are way bigger. What I like about trains in Italy is that the toilet seats do pop up automatically. This way the toilet seat stays way cleaner. And well, it's also a little bit more proof for people who don't know how to hit the target. Close to the accessible toilet, you also find the accessible area in this train, obviously. And this here is on these specific Frecciarossa trains the highest class, what is business class or first class. In some other Frecciarossa trains you also find higher classes, but not in this one. This part of the train comes in a 2x1 layout, and for the rest many things are basically the same. I mean, the amount of luggage space is basically the same. However, because there are simply less seats, you have netto way more space for luggage. Just like the rest of this train, most seats do come in an airline style or long distance bus seat composition. However, you also find some bay seats, and in business class this is slightly more than in the rest of the train. Personally, I really prefer the airline style or long distance bus seat composition seats, especially if I'm traveling alone. And in particular, if I'm making trip reports, first class is just way easier to travel in. But I think if I wouldn't make these kind of videos, second class will be totally fine to me. Ticket prices are based on the demand of passengers, so therefore in some rare situations, first class tickets might be even cheaper than second class tickets. Or the price difference might be very small. I was traveling with the use of Interrail though. Let's do a seat tour of the bay seats, so seats facing each other. In that case you find a bigger table in between, you can fold this out, and at the side near the window you find a small litter bin. Just like everywhere, power sockets are located right under the seats. But I didn't notice the handle to recline the seats though. Well, in this specific trains I don't think you can do that. Just like everywhere, the windows do have a sunscreen, and at the moment the seats do face each other, so the back ends of the seats are right next to each other. This means you can store quite a lot of luggage between the back ends as well. I see a lot of people not using this space, while it can be very useful, and this doesn't only count for traveling in Italy, but for traveling by train in general. This here was my seat. At the side there's a small litter bin, there's a small but sturdy fold-out table, which not too small though, and the seat in front of me, and the power sockets are located right under the seat as well. Once again, I didn't notice that these seats could be reclined, but in other Frecciarossa trains you definitely can recline the seats. Seat numbers are located right at the luggage racks, and integrated within the luggage racks you find a reading light. Traveling in business class means you get a small meal suitable for the time of the day. I think this also depends a little bit on how long you're traveling on board of these trains. Still filming with one hand is a little bit difficult, but this was my very tiny breakfast. It was nice though. This included a small coffee and some water. Another trolley service to collect waste and also to recycle the breakfast box in my situation will come by a little bit later on in this train. Free Wi-Fi is available. This doesn't just link your mobile device to an onboard internet connection, but you will also have an onboard entertainment system, including books, magazines, movies, etc. For this, you need to download the Freccia Portal app though. Let's take a quick look on the environmental impact on this route if you're traveling by train, car and plane. Well, plane is not really a serious competitor on this route, because when it comes to travel time it just doesn't make a whole lot of sense to take the plane. The car is slightly slower than taking the train on this route, so the train is the absolutely winner in price, comfort, especially environmental impact, but also when it comes to safety. To me it's a no-brainer. Obviously I take the train, and I think we need more trains. In Italy they're doing a great job though. This route will soon be even faster with the train, because at this moment there's only a small section where we will be traveling on real high-speed lines. The biggest part of the journey will be on slower conventional railway lines. For now I just show you some views from the train on the route between Milan and Trieste, via Verona and Venice. This train doesn't go at the old Venice railway station though, only in the new part. That's it for this video on board of this train. I hope you liked it, or this has been a helpful video for you. Right now I'm in Trieste, and this is also the station I showed you at the beginning of this video. From here on I'll continue my journey with a Eurocity train to Ljubljana, the capital of Slovenia, and there will be a trip report on that as well, of course. Once again, I hope you liked this, or this has been a helpful video to you. If so, please give me a thumbs up, I really appreciate that. If you have any questions, or even if you just want to say hello, feel free to leave a comment. And if you'd like to see more trip reports, the main focus for this YouTube channel is to show you what it's like to travel on a more sustainable way of transportation for long distance and or cross-bordering traveling, then hit that subscribe button. Before we really end up this video, one last thing. Once again, thank you for watching. If you are interested in other videos, of course you can find them on this channel. And if you subscribe, you can also see the newest videos coming up. Apart from that, in the description of this video on YouTube, you also find a link to a map. And on this map you can also find all videos, but then on a map. See you on the next one.